Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Buster Blader deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck to play this format, especially with all the spicy tech cards I've included in this build for you guys. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like in your name, description, every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Buster Blader. This card is an extremely nostalgic boss monster that helps you out with a bunch of combos in the deck. We then play a single copy of Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordmaster. This card is an amazing 1-of in the deck, and I feel like this is the best number to be able to play these cards at, is 1 and 1, to give you the maximum number of plays in the deck. Especially since your copy of Destruction Swordmaster counts as Buster Blader while in the field or in the graveyard. Plus, it's too cool not to play a single copy of the original Buster Blader. That card is amazing. We then play 3 copies of Buster Whelp. Buster Whelp is the best normal summon in the entire deck, because when this card is normal summon, you can add a Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your copy of Prologue, because that is basically 1 card combo for the deck for your entire Buster Blader line, which is amazing. We then play a single copy of Dragon Buster. Dragon Buster is a definite 1-of in the deck, because this card basically locks your opponent out of their extract when it's equipped to one of your monsters, which is absolutely crazy. This card is a definite 1-of in the build, because it also has the ability you can target a Buster Blader that you control and equip this monster from your hand to that target, which is crazy that you can just instantly equip this card and lock your opponent out of their extra deck. We then play 3 copies of the Bysteel Lubellion. The Bysteel cards work amazing in this deck, and Lubellion is really good because this card has an awesome ability that if this card's in your graveyard, you contribute a level 6 or higher Dark Dragon monster to special summon this card to your side of the field. You can also send this card from your hand to the graveyard to add another copy of a Bysteel monster from your deck to your hand, except a copy of Lubellion. This card also has a crazy powerful effect that during your main phase, you can place a branded continuous spell or trap from your deck face up on the field, which is a great ability to instantly get your copy of Branded Beast, especially since you can use Branded Beast to get Branded Regained back out of the graveyard once you send it to the graveyard off your copy of Saunier's effect. I love that ability with this card because it's so easy to pull off that combo in this particular build because it basically does it all by itself, which is amazing. We then play a single copy of Saunier. Saunier is amazing in this build, and the rest of your Bysteel monsters that are level 6 actually share a common effect that you can target a light or dark monster in either player's graveyard and banish it. And if you do, special summon this card from your hand. And it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, which is amazing just to be able to banish a card from either player's graveyard to instantly get this card on your side of the field, and it's just such a cool ability. And this card's unique ability is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send a Bysteel monster or a branded spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard, except a copy of this card, which is always going to be a copy of your Branded Regained that you're going to send from your deck to the graveyard off this card's ability, so that you can bring it back to your side of the field off of Branded Beast. That is a really cool combo about this deck, and I love that about this card. We then play a single copy of Bysteel Magnemite. Magnemite's a great 1-of in the deck. You can only play a single copy of this card now, but it's still really good because during the end phase, you can add a dragon monster from your deck or grave to hand, letting you grab your copy of Buster Dragon, Buster Whelp, or even another copy of one of your Bysteel cards, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Druis Worm. Druis Worm is really good as a 1-of in the build, just to basically have as spot removal. This card is amazing in the deck, and I almost played this card as a 2-of in the build. We then play 2 copies of Blazing Cartesia. Blazing Cartesia is really good in this deck. You can actually bring this card out with fusion deployment by revealing a copy of Dusk Dragon in your extract, making it super easy to instantly get this card on your side of the field. It's also basically walking polymerization, which is insane to go in for some really good plays. We then play 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz is amazing as a 2-of in the deck because this card helps you go in for a lot of really cool fusion plays using Branded Fusion. Plus, you can also bring this card out to your side of the field using Fusion Deployment, which is amazing. By just revealing something like a copy of Mirror Jade, you can instantly get this card on your side of the field and use it as a walking super polymerization. We then play a single copy of Ecclesia. Ecclesia is really good because you can search this card off of Nadir, and it also has the ability, if a monster is special summoned from the X deck is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if it's normal or special summon, you can add a dogmatic card from your deck to your hand, but you cannot summon from the X deck for the rest of the turn. But that's totally fine, because we're usually going to search out something like a copy of Fleur-de-Lis, which is basically a hand trap in the deck, or a copy of Maximus. Maximus comes in extremely handy in this deck because this card actually sends cards from your X deck to the graveyard, which can come in really handy to get cards into the grave, especially with some of the tech cards we're playing in the X deck. We then play a single copy of the Light Hex Sealed Fusion. This card works really well with your branded cards because it helps you step into some crazy powerful boss monsters using branded fusion, Albion, and Lubellion. This card is amazing in the deck as a one-of and is usually the main target I send to the graveyard with Fallen Volbaz to step into some really powerful fusion plays. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Branded Regained. Branded Regained is really good as a one-of in the build, because this card has the ability if a light or dark monster is banished, then you can target one of those monsters and place that monster on the bottom of the deck. And if you do, draw a card, which is an insanely powerful effect with this card, because it instantly gives you a draw and also recycles some of your resources, which is just so good. It also has the ability, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can actually target a Bysteel monster in the grave and just special summon it to your side of the field, which is a once per chain effect, which is absolutely crazy. We then play 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. Fusion Deployment has a bunch of targets in the deck, like your copies of Fallen Volbaz, your copies of Blazing Cartesia, and even Buster Blader can be summoned off of it, because you can reveal your copy of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, and special summon Buster Blader to your side of the field. Or reveal something like a copy of Mirror Jade to summon Fallen Volbaz, or even Dusk Dragon to summon Blazing Cartesia. We then play 3 copies of Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is amazing in this deck because this card helps you out so much in the build, because it just helps you go in for some crazy fusion plays, instantly stepping into cards like Mirror Jade, Dragoon, stuff like that, using a Fallen Volbaz plus the Light Hex Seal Fusion. Plus, I've got some really spicy tech cards that this card helps you go into using Branded Fusion, which is so cool. We then play 3 copies of Nadir. Nadir is amazing in this deck because this card searches out your copy of Ecclesia while also sending a monster from your extra to a graveyard like a copy of Albion or Garua, so you can either get a draw or set a copy of Branded Fusion during the end phase to your side of the field, which is just so cool. This card does lock you out of the extract for the rest of the turn, but that's totally fine because we're usually going into the extract during our opponent's turn using Prologue and other cards. So this card is a great 3-of in the deck and is basically Rhoda for the build. We then play 3 copies of an extremely spicy tech card that I'm actually going to lay face down. And we're going to play Guess That Card with. So this card is an amazing 3-of in the deck that helps us go into some really powerful boss monsters that I'm going to reveal in 3, 2, 1, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys, because we're on the road to 100k subscribers and we're almost there, which is absolutely crazy. So every subscriber counts. So let's go ahead and reveal what this spicy tech card is. And this is a card that you wouldn't imagine would actually be in Buster Blader, but it works crazy well in this deck. Like, it's insane how well this card works, and it's come in so clutch in playtesting that I probably will play this card like for a very long time in this deck, especially with this build. So this card is actually 3 copies of Duality. This card is amazing in this deck because it just helps out so much to step into so many cool different plays, and there's a lot of really neat interactions in this deck. By using your copies of Duality with either your copy of Maximus or Fleur-de-Lis, because they're both light spellcasters, you can actually step into a copy of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, which is insane how easy it is to basically just use these cards together to step into a copy of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, because these are light and a spellcasters, and this is a dark spellcaster, so you can instantly step into something like a Dragoon using these cards. Now, another really cool interaction in this deck is your copy of Lubellion. Just to show you guys some cool interactions with Duality, your copies of Lubellion are actually, conveniently enough, light level 8 dragons. So you can actually turn this card into an easy copy of Buster Dragon, because this card is a dragon and a dark, and this is a light dragon level 8, and they're both level 8s, you can turn them into one another, which is amazing. That you can turn your copy of Lubellion into a copy of Buster Dragon, so you can keep it on your side of the field so it doesn't destroy itself, which is just absolutely amazing. There's another really cool interaction in the deck that's actually out of the extra deck with Duality, that you can actually turn your copy of Buster Dragon into a copy of a Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, because they're both level 8. This is a dark, this is a light, and this is a dragon. So you can actually turn them into one another, which is really cool. So if you have a Buster Dragon that's going to destroy itself with your copy of Prologue, you can just flip Duality and turn it into a Tyrant Dragon and then just swing into all of your opponent's monsters for an OTK, which is a really cool interaction, especially being able to play a Blue Eyes in a copy of a Buster Blader deck, which is just so cool. I love that about this card, because Duality opens up so many cool plays in this deck, and there's also other cards that you can play in the extra deck, like your copies of Scarlight that you can turn it into. There's other really cool cards like Beals. We're not playing Beals in here, but basically any light and dark dragon work in this deck with your copies of Duality, or light or dark level 8 spellcasters work in the deck to be able to use. I haven't found a really good dark warrior to turn our copy of Buster Blader into, but if you guys know one, definitely comment down below, and if you got this right, I'll give you guys a heart in the comments. So let's go ahead and see the traps. So for the traps, guys, we're going to start with 3 copies of Trap Trick. Trap Trick is an amazing 3 of in the deck, because this card essentially turns our copies of Prologue into 6 ofs, which are copies of our Buster Whelp turns it into 9 ofs, which we want to get to our copy of Prologue as quickly as possible, because our copy of Prologue is extremely important in this deck to be able to get to, because it's essentially the entire Buster Blader combo to be able to use this card, because it lets us send a Destruction Sword card and a Buster Blader monster from our deck to the graveyard to be able to special summon a Buster Dragon from our extra deck. Now the card we're always going to summon out to our side of the field or send to the graveyard off this card is a Buster Blader and a copy of Destruction Sword Memories. Destruction Sword Memories can banish itself from the graveyard to be able to summon out a copy of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, by fusion summoning into it, which is insane how this card works. It's absolutely crazy that you basically just banish a dragon from your grave plus a Buster Blader monster and a copy of this card to be able to summon out a copy of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, while also getting Buster Dragon on the field with Prologue. That's such a cool effect, because you can also chain Destruction Sword Memories to your copy of Prologue, because Prologue sends us cost to be able to go in for those plays, which is absolutely insane. And it doesn't even make it fizzle, which is amazing. We then play a single copy of Branded Beast. Branded Beast is really good because this card helps you pop cards on the field while also putting Branded Regained back on the field, which is just really good. I love that about this card, and it just helps out so much in this deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. So this is our main boss monster we're going to be summoning all the time. That requires a Buster Blader plus any dragon monster that you have. And it's super easy to summon because you're always going to summon this card off of memories, but it's a really insane card that cannot attack directly, and it gains 1,000 attack and defense for each dragon type monster that your opponent controls or in their graveyard, which your copy of Buster Dragon is going to turn everything that they control into dragons, which is just super cool. It also has the ability to change all dragon type monsters that your opponent controls to defense position, and also dragon type monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects. And this card also does piercing damage, so it can do a lot of damage very quickly to your opponent. We then play a single copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. We play this card as a 1-of in the deck, because this card is essentially just a walking negate that we can step into with Branded Fusion or Duality in this build, making this card a definite 1-of in the deck. Plus, it can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is insane. We then play a single copy of Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Now tell me that's not cool, guys. Being able to play Buster Blader, Dark Magician Red Eyes, and Blue Eyes all in the same deck. That's just so cool. Like, that's just insane to me, being able to do that with Duality, and I love that about this card. Now, Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon is amazing in this build because it actually lets you recover trap cards from the graveyard if it battles, and also it can attack every monster that your opponent controls, which is insane, making this card a definite 1-of in the deck. Plus, it's super easy to go into because it just requires a dragon plus a Blue Eyes White Dragon, which Light Hex Seal Fusion can count as, or you can tag into this card using Duality, which is super cool. We then play a single copy of Mirror Jade. You only need a single copy of Mirror Jade in this build. It's super easy to bring out, but you usually only summon one anyways. We then play a single copy of Lubellion. Lubellion's great as a 1-of in the deck as well, because this card is super easy to summon to your side of the field, and it's just a really cool card to be able to shuffle your cards back to be able to make a fusion play. We then play 2 copies of Albion. I really love Albion as a 2-of in the deck, because it's such a powerful card to be able to go into, and it does require a light monster, so this is the card you're going to be using to step into with your light Hex Seal Fusion plus Fallen of Albaz. And this card is basically walking Miracle Fusion. But it also has a really cool ability. If it's sent to the graveyard this turn, you can actually add to your hand or set a branded spell or trap directly from your deck, essentially grabbing you a copy of Branded Fusion when this card's sent to the grave. So sometimes I'll even send this card to grave off Nadir so I can grab the exact card that I want, like a Branded Fusion. We then play a single copy of Dusk Dragon. Dusk Dragon's a good 1-of in the deck, just to be able to reveal with your copy of Fusion deployment so you can summon Blazing Cartesia, but it's also pretty good to summon to your side of the field, because if it's Fusion summon, you can send a level 6 or higher light or dark monster from your deck or extract to the graveyard, which can come in extremely handy in this deck. We then play a single copy of Abalanitas. Abalanitas is basically like your copy of Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, but for Fallen of Albaz, making this card a definite 1-of in the build, especially with how easy it is to turn your opponent's monsters into dragons, and then basically board wipe them with this card and go in for game. We then play a single copy of Garua. We just play Garua in the deck for Nadir targets in the deck to be able to send to the graveyard so we can draw a card when we search out our copy of Ecclesia so we can dig into the deck for more combo pieces. We then play a single copy of Elder Entity Nis. This card pops cards on the field. You can use both of these as well with your copies of Maximus to be able to draw and pop a card, which is really good. We then play 2 copies of Buster Dragon. Buster Dragon is amazing in the deck because all monsters that your opponent control become dragon type monsters in once per turn. If you don't control Buster Blader, you can special summon a Buster Blader from your graveyard, which is super good. And once per turn, during your opponent's turn, you can target a Buster Blader monster you control and equip it with 1 Destruction Sword monster from your graveyard, and it's a quick effect, which is really good. I love duality in this deck as well because you can basically, like I said before, tag this card into Blue Eyes Tyrant, which is amazing, or you can tag your copy of Lubellion into this card if you want to, so that you can guarantee that you're going to keep it. We then play a single copy of Linkuriboh. Linkuriboh is really good as a 1-of because we do play level 1s in the deck, so you can get them in the graveyard, and it's really good to protect your monsters from attacks because usually the only way your opponent's getting through a Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is swinging through it or kaijuing it, and this solves one of those problems, which is really good. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Buster Blader before, you should definitely give this particular build a try because it's insane. I absolutely love how this build functions, and it's worked extremely well in playtesting. Like, I absolutely love it, and it's just amazing like how easy it is to summon out cards like Dragoon, Buster Blader, Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, Mirror Jade, all those really cool boss monsters, and then to lay another layer on top of it with duality is just insane. So that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.